any Indraloka? Did you ever find any Indraloka? Did you ever find those fancy, imaginations of Puranas? Where are they? You have different technological advancements to find so many things. Subtler, go into the ocean, go to the space. Where is our Indraloka? Where are those Apsaras? Where is that Somarasa? They elude you. Why? Because you are finding it, trying to search it in the wrong place. It's not there somewhere outside, it is there within you. That is what the Upanishad says. Happiness is within you. You are trying to find it outside, and that is why it eludes you. Upanishad says, Yat eva iha tat amutra. Whatever is here, that is only there, outside. Yat amutra, and whatever is there is tat anu iha. The same is here. There is no difference. You can give a lot of explanations to this, but to begin with, the other person is as fool as yourself. This is the denominator. This is what it boils down to. The other person is as foolish as yourself. So if a person could do something, that means you can also do it. If a person can excel in something, you can also excel in that. If somebody has done something, you can also become that, or you can do that. Because there is nothing extra or greater in the other person than yourself. This is the very basic thing which we learn from this mantra. Why? Because the rope is the cause for the snake. There can be nothing different in the snake which is not in the rope. Even the formation of the imagination is snake, you see. You don't see a cow in a rope. You can't. In a dark room, if there is a rope, you cannot see a cow there. You will see only a snake or something similar in appearance, because that is what is there. So similarly, Brahman is there, and what is not in Brahman is not there in this world. And what is not in this world is not there in the Brahman. Because it is only a different reading or a different viewing of Brahman or God or whatever you call it. Similarly, there is nothing in hell or heaven which is not there in this world. Sometimes this world can be very hellish. There can be no hell to match this. And sometimes this world can be great heaven. There can be no heaven to match that. So what hell, heaven, everything is there in this world. There is no hereafter. And that is why in Gita you say, Ihaiva tairjita sargaha. Here itself, Ihaiva. Here itself tairjita sarga hai. You give up attachment and enjoy bliss. Here itself, you don't wait for marenge to ye hoga, agle janam mein hoga. There is no retirement plan. महाराज ये सब धर्म की बातें हैं, छोड़ दीजिए, मरने के बाद देखा जाएगा. You are a foolish person. और मरने के पहले देखा जाएगा. You are a foolish person. Why? Because now you need it. Because today you are going to have a fight with your spouse. So in that fight, which is very, life-changing, turning point fight, you should know how to deal. You are going to have a fight with your boss. You should know this wisdom. You should have this wisdom. You should know how to deal with that fight. You may be having a problem with your professor or your student, whatever the case may be. So you should have this knowledge. So there is nothing in tomorrow which is not there today. Whatever is there today only will continue tomorrow. There is nothing today which was not there yesterday. Very simple. It's so profound philosophy. Don't expect miracles. There are no miracles. As we call, there are no free lunches. No free lunches. So whatever is there today was there yesterday, it will be there tomorrow. Only thing, you have to change your perspective, you have to change yourself, you have to find that thing within yourself, and the whole world will get changed. So that is what the Upanishad says, that what is there here is only there hereafter or in there, and what is there, present there, is only there here. Then we go to the next So now what happens to person? Acha, tat anu iha. The same is here. The word used is anu. Anu means it is all pervading. It is all pervading, it is there everywhere. Now, what happens to a person who does not see that? What happens to a person who sees difference? Why did I say that the other person is as foolish as you are? He or she is also as intelligent as you are. I mean, there is no difference between you and the other person. So a person who tries to see a difference between the present and the past or the future is a person who is inviting trouble. A person who is going behind differences, and that person in the Upanishad's language, saha mrityo mrityum apnoti, travels from death to death. That is from one life to another life. But in another language, that person is traveling from one problem to the another problem. From one miserable situation to another miserable situation. You will not have any happiness in your life. Because you are trying to postpone the solution. You are trying to find the solution somewhere distant. Kal theek ho jayega. Kabir Das, very famous. काल करे सो आज कर, आज करे सो अब, पल में परलय होएगी, बहुरी करेगा कब. So somebody changes it. Somebody changes it and says, काल करेगा सो काल कर, काल करेगा सो परसों, इतनी भी जल्दी क्या है, तुम्हें तो जीना है बरसों. So why are you in haste? No? There's no hurry. So if you try to postpone the solution, if you try to find a solution in the future, that's why Zen Buddhists, they will say, even other people, there are so many motivational speakers as well, they will say, live in the present. I don't know what they actually mean by that, but live in the present means what? Again, what is here only is present there, and what is there is only present here. So if you have to tackle a problem, you have to tackle it there and then and there. Unless you will have to say network with people, even then you send emails, you say that okay, call a meeting. Many times I believe that in corporate world or even other places, if we could just avoid meetings and get to the job, tasks, things would become simpler. Call this meeting, that meeting, then you have minutes of meeting, then you have this thing, you send a resolution of meeting, what is the agenda of meeting. There's a whole department for these meetings going on. Everywhere, almost in every organization, it happens. So, and then you have files of meetings, then also all the statutory bodies require you to keep these meetings in proper formats and then submit them. So much of jhamela. To do what? To decide what to do. You are not even actually doing it. That. And so, another thing which we come across in our daily lives is procrastination. Some people have the to-do list. This to-do list can be very interesting. You have the same to-do list every day. Every day the same thing. So sometimes it happened with me also. I used to tick things and then I saw that I am just repeating the same thing day in and day out. So better to finish it. Better to finish it than to carry it. So करेंगे, बाद में करेंगे. And then बाद में, sometimes it is so interesting to note that you postpone a thing to such an extent then that the whole job loses its relevance. Then it is not necessary at all because it has already, the due date is gone. So there can be three ways of looking at the problem. One is very easy solution: delegate, automate, outsource. When you come across a problem which is too difficult for you to do, give it to somebody else. Delegate. Or if you are in a managerial position, if you can do that, you get a software to do it. There is Amazon has got this wonderful site called, what is it? Machine Turk or something. So there you go, people post job requirement, means they post requirement of talent. So there are wonderful requirements. Somebody is saying copy paste. So there is some Word document, in that something is there, you have to just copy and paste. So for that, for per hour or per item, they will give you so many cents. Even that work they are not able to do, so they have delegated. So delegate or automate or outsource. If you are in a position to outsource, that is, outsource. Somehow you get that thing out from your to-do list. Because if you are not going to do it today, you will never do it. You will never do it. This mantra is so very practical, so very practical. If you are not going to tell a person what you think about that person, tell it, go ahead and tell it. Maybe that person will feel bad, but that's the truth. Instead of keeping it in your mind and then putting out a cosmetic smile and all that, just tell that you are a foolish fellow, you are a stupid, I don't care what you say, etc. That after some time you will also feel happy. That is what, and this is the greatest stress buster. There will be no stress, you see. It just give you a piece of your mind and then that's all. That person also will feel what you think. Call a spade a spade. And if you go through the scriptures, arjavam, straightforwardness, that is what the scripture says. Be very clear about things. Maybe not in a language very rough, but yes, put it in a proper language as sweetly as possible. But then sometimes, how can you tell sweetly a person that he is a foolish person? No? Some bitterness will be there, but it has to be done. So never expect some solution over time. And if you expect, here in the spiritual sense or in the bigger sense, it is told mrityo mrityum apnoti, but actually it means that you will get miserable existence. So here also, unless you understand that your true nature is Brahman, by simply postponing it from one birth to another birth, you are not going to get anything. The next birth will equally be miserable. The further birth will be equally miserable. So you have to, in this very birth, understand your true nature. In this very birth, you have to understand what you are. So next mantra. Manasaivedam aptavyam neha nanasti kinchana mrityoho samrityum gacchati yaha iha naneva pashyati. Now, earlier also I have told that we are within this body-mind complex, we are dealing in this body-mind complex, but we have to go beyond it using this body-mind complex. Using this body and mind, we have to go beyond body and mind. So that is what the Upanishad says here. Manasa eva idam aptavyam. Aptavyam means to own, to attain. Here it means realize. So through mind we have to realize what? Idam means Brahman, your true nature. You are not this body, you are not the mind. You are not this limited existence. That you have to realize through mind. And you have to also realize that iha kinchana nanana asti. This is not separate. Nothing is separate here. That's why I told you earlier in one class. What is the fun of studying Upanishad? What is the idea of studying Upanishad? When you see a person as a person, you see a person as an Indian, you see a person as an American, you see a person as a man, woman, child. Unless you can see everyone as at least a human being, there is no point. The whole study is futile. So next time you see a person as a human being, not as a man or woman, not as a Hindu, Christian or Muslim, not as an Indian, American or British, but as a human being. And that should come from your heart, not from your brain. You should feel that oneness. And then you will be closer to the realization of Brahman. Then you will be closer to understanding your true personality. When you can feel one with the other person. And also it is good, I pointed out the other day also, it is very easy to feel one with a person who is looking beautiful. But feel one with a person who is not looking beautiful, who has got a very bad face, probably an accident victim. Can you do that? If you can do that, then you are probably going closer to the realization of Brahman. That is what we have to practice it. That is what every time you have to see a person, you have to see, no, this is a human being. Then we can think of Atman. First at the level of human being. Think. When you see a person, you see, no, this person is not a person who is black or colored. This person is a human being. No, this is not a she, but this is a human being. This is not a he, but a human being. And then you have this tremendous sense of oneness with everyone. You can talk to everyone with the same spirit without any sense of withholding, any sense of binding or inhibition inside you. You go and mix with a person of a different religion, different ethnicity, different color, and then different nationality, and then you will understand what we are talking about. You will get an inkling of what we are talking about. This, Sri Ramakrishna says, any knowledge of variety is actually no knowledge. But knowledge of unity is the true knowledge. What is the Bengali statement? Eker gyan gyan, aneker gyan agyan. So if you see diversity, that is ignorance. And if you see one as unity, that is true knowledge. Physics, same thing. What is that one force which can explain all the forces? So now Einstein asks you that give me one force. Same question asked in the Upanishad. Kasminnu gyatam sarvamidam vigyatum bhavati. Knowing what shall I know everything? So the answer is there in the Upanishad, the Brahman. You know that one reality, you know everything. Physics is yet to arrive at the answer. Probably it will come. So you should understand that one reality and then you will come to know. But how to proceed to that? What is practical here? Practical is this. When you meet a person, see that person as a human being. Not as anything else. Not as a IITian or a non-IITian. This is also now a big difference, no? You see, oh, you are from IIT, then you are little somehow elevated. So you see a person as a person, not as an engineer, not as a doctor or a lawyer. And if you do that, then you are going towards knowledge. Because the Upanishad says, Yaha iha nana iva pashyati, he who sees anything separate, saha mrityo mrityum gacchati, that person again goes from death to death. Means what? Miserable existence. You don't arrive at any solution. In physics, you see everything different, so you have different laws for different phenomenon. You keep on inventing laws or creating laws. There's no end to that. That is why Einstein, very clever, he wanted to have one thing. So you have a law for that thing and finish. You have one particular law for one particular reality and that you can extrapolate to everything, all phenomenon in this universe. So now we want one force. So if we can somehow understand that force, we can understand the entire universe. Now you do that through collider or you do that through any method, but probably our Professor Somnath will be able to enlighten us on that. Whatever you do, but give us that one force. Similarly, whatever you do, you get to that one understanding of your personality, and if you can get that, then you will be going beyond misery. You will be going beyond sorrow. Shokam tarati atmavit. So, once you know yourself, you will be going beyond your all the misery. Now we go to next mantra. You see, till now, we have seen a different imagery of Atman. Now, the Upanishad becomes little more material, so to say. Swami Vivekananda in one place says, it's very difficult to conceive of a formless reality. A God formless. Why is it difficult? Yes, it is difficult. How do you say so? Yes, you see religions which claim themselves, or even belief systems which claim themselves to be formless. What are they? So, yes, formless, but I need a cross. Formless, but I need that picture of Mecca or that direction, So much of this thing for that direction. Swamiji says that, yes, but I need that doves and that chest with the doves. So formless, okay, or I need the Torah. In Judaism, there is a lot of formlessness, but the Torah is necessary. In Brahmoism also, you see, formless, but Saguna Brahman. So formless, but then again there is it is like formless, but the person has got qualities. Formless God with qualities. How can formless God have qualities? But anyway, so some Mangalkari, you do so much of, you are so all-loving, you do, how can that entity which is formless, can it be a person and also have so much good thought for you, welfare, etc. That is what is Brahmo. So everywhere, it is impossible for you. Why? Because you are thinking through the mind, and mind can never think of formlessness. It can think, but at the nirvikalpa state, where there is no thought. But when it is at no thought level, then it is at a different level. There is no mind. That is the problem. Mind will not be there. Mind dissolves. There is no more mind there. So as soon as mind comes back, it will have to think. Then it will say, what is that? It is Sat Chit Ananda Brahman. Sat Chit Ananda. Then again it will give some form. Chit, Chaitanya, consciousness. Then you explain consciousness. Consciousness is something vibrant or something. Then again you bring form. Without the help of symbolism, without the help of some kind of form, it is difficult, or rather it is impossible for you to explain anything. Only thing, you will make it more closer, or you will make it closer to the formless. For example, you will say it is as infinite as the sky, or it is as vast as the ocean. That's all what you can say, but you cannot just go beyond any symbolism. So here again, the Upanishad resorts to symbolism. Angushta matraha purusho madhya atmani tishtati ishanam bhuta bhavyasya na tato vijugupsate etat vaitat. Etat vaitat, this is that Brahman. This is that Brahman. So here again Upanishad says, whatever form, whatever symbols you bring, this is that Brahman. As I told you, somebody will say that, you worship snake. Why? Because snake is there on the neck of Shiva. So no, we don't worship snake. Through snake we worship Lord. So you worship mouse. No, you don't worship mouse. Through mouse you worship Lord. These are only symbols. You don't worship this, what you call, owl, or you don't worship elephant. These are only symbols. That we have to be clear. Now here the Upanishad says, Angushta matra purushaha. Brahman. Now the word purushaha means a person who fills everything. Actually, that is the word of the meaning of the word Purusha. A person who fills everything, or all pervading. So Purusha here means Brahman. Purusha here means Brahman, ultimate reality. Angushta matra Purusha. Angushta matra Purusha. how can be Purusha of the size of a thumb? Angushta means thumb. So how can be Purusha the size of thumb? We know Thenga, you say no, Thenga like that. That is what we use the thumb for, or you say thumbs up or something. But how can be Purusha be the size of a thumb? So it is told that in the heart there is a space where your self has to be meditated upon. Where yourself has to be meditated upon. And that place is of the size of a thumb. And because you have to meditate on yourself, which is nothing but Brahman, in that space which is equivalent to the size of a thumb, so you say that Brahman is the size of a thumb. Brahman cannot be of any size and it cannot be in any space because it is beyond time, space and causation. But again we come to the same point that we have to reach the formless through forms. We have to go beyond body and mind using body and mind. We have to see the photo of wonderful goddess Lakshmi, Saraswati or terrible goddess Kali, whatever you see, to go beyond that form. So Durga Puja. How many of you are aware of the rituals of Durga Puja? What is this? আপনি এরকম হাতটা তুললেন তারপরে এখানে করে দিলেন very intelligent. You're not even attempting, so that no problem. At least you should know what are the phases. No, you don't know. What are the different phases of Durga Puja? What are the phases? Mahalaya. Then? Bodhan. Important puja, Sandhi Puja, Ashtami and Navami, junction. So junction is very important. So Howrah junction is important. So junction of this Ashtami and Navami, Sandhi Puja. Then another one important puja, Kumari Puja. But that is a part of Durga Puja. It's a very much an integral part of Durga Puja. So these are the